Words, 497. Inside the red foggy infected building of the prototype in-game world, Alex Mercer, with his black virus abilities and powers, found himself face to face with the purple-eyed plant element hadrosaurs dinosaur trio from Dinosaur King. The trio consisted of Alex the male adult Altirhinus, Mia the female adult Measaura, and Iggy the female adult Iguanodon. As the hadrosaur trio stood before him, crossing their forelimbs and standing on their hind limbs, Alex Mercer began to demonstrate his virus-based abilities. The trio watched in interest as Alex showcased his powers, manipulating the environment around them with ease. Meanwhile, the hadrosaurs used their glowing purple eyes to summon a pack of shrubs and herbs, which they eagerly consumed. "Ah, this plant meal is so good," Iggy remarked, as Alex, Altirhinus, and Mia also enjoyed their leafy greens. Once they had finished their meal, it was the hadrosaur trio's turn to show off their powers. Mia declared, "Now it's our turn. Let's show our purple glowing cosmic eyes power." The hadrosaurs trio focused their purple glowing eyes, creating neon-lit trails on their bodies as they exerted control over the plants in the building. They unleashed a series of plant-based attacks with names like Vine Whip and Leaf Storm, demonstrating their dominance over the environment. As the battle ensued, the interior of the infected building was filled with chaos and destruction. Alex Mercer's virus tendrils clashed with the sharp toxic spiky vines controlled by the hadrosaurs trio. Shockwaves reverberated throughout the space as both sides engaged in a fierce struggle. Despite the constant onslaught of infected mutants, both Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio appeared unfazed. They utilized their healing and regeneration abilities to withstand the attacks and continue the battle. The infected mutants were no match for the combined forces of the virus-infused Alex Mercer and the plant element hadrosaurs. As the battle raged on, the clash between Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio intensified. Their powers collided with explosive force, sending debris flying in all directions. The infected mutants stood no chance against the overwhelming might of the combatants. With each passing moment, the intensity of the battle grew, threatening to consume everything in its path. The building groaned under the strain as the combatants pushed themselves to their limits. Despite the chaos and destruction, both sides remained determined to emerge victorious. In the end, the battle between Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio ended in a stalemate. Both sides were exhausted from the relentless conflict, their powers drained from the constant struggle. As the dust settled, they stood amidst the wreckage, each contemplating their next move. The red foggy infected building of the prototype in-game world bore the scars of their clash, serving as a testament to the power and determination of those who had fought within its walls. And as Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio prepared for their next encounter, the world braced itself for the inevitable clash of titans that was sure to come. Alex Mercer stood inside the red foggy infected building of the prototype in-game world, his black virus abilities swirling around him like a deadly aura. In front of him stood the three purple-eyed plant element hadrosaurs dinosaurs from Dinosaur King, Alex the Altirhinus, Mia the Measaura, and Iggy the Iguanodon. The hadrosaur trio crossed their forelimbs and stood on their hind limbs, their purple eyes glowing with power. Alex smirked as he prepared to show off his virus-based abilities to the intrigued hadrosaurs. With a flick of his wrist, tendrils of black virus shot out towards the trio, who watched in fascination. As the tendrils danced around the room, the hadrosaurs summoned a pack of shrubs and herbs with their glowing eyes, munching on the leafy greens with delight. "Ah, this plant meal is so good," Iggy exclaimed, her eyes shining with satisfaction. Alex could only nod in agreement as he continued to showcase his deadly powers. But soon enough, it was the hadrosaur trio's turn to shine. Mia declared, "Now it's our turn. Let's show our purple glowing cosmic eyes power." The trio focused their purple eyes, creating neon-lit trails on their bodies as they controlled the plants around them. With a series of impressive plant-based attacks, the hadrosaurs demonstrated their mastery over nature. They named each move with finesse, using their powers to crush and destroy the infected mutants that swarmed the building. Meanwhile, Alex absorbed the mutants with his biomass tendrils, feeding on their essence to refuel himself for the battle ahead. The clash between Alex Mercer and the purple-eyed plant element hadrosaurs was chaotic and destructive, sending shockwaves reverberating through the building. Both sides utilized their healing and regeneration abilities, constantly repairing the damage inflicted by their opponents' attacks. As they fought, the infected mutants continued to swarm around them, adding to the chaos of the battle. The hadrosaurs used their plant element powers to crush the mutants, while Alex consumed them with ruthless efficiency. The battle seemed to stretch on endlessly, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. The room was filled with the sound of clashing powers and the screams of the infected mutants as they were torn apart in the crossfire. Despite the fierce competition, a sense of respect and admiration began to form between Alex and the hadrosaur trio. Each recognized the other's strength and determination, fueling their desire to prove themselves in the battle. As the clash continued, the building around them began to crumble under the strain of their powers. Debris rained down as the combatants pushed themselves to their limits, each determined to emerge victorious. In the end, it was unclear who had the upper hand as the battle raged on. The room was filled with the intense energy of their clash, a destructive symphony of power and might. And so, Alex Mercer and the purple-eyed plant element hadrosaurs continued their eternal battle, locked in combat within the infected building of the prototype in-game world, their abilities pushing them to the brink of exhaustion as they fought for supremacy in the red foggy chaos. Words. 516. As Alex Mercer stood within the red foggy infected building, his black virus abilities shimmering in the dim light, he found himself face to face with the trio of purple-eyed plant element hadrosaurs from the Dinosaur King anime show. The male adult Alturinus, Alex, the female adult Measaura, Mia, and the female adult Iguanodon, Iggy, stood before him, their glowing purple eyes fixed on him with curiosity. The hadrosaur trio crossed their forelimbs and stood on their hind limbs, a display of power and unity. Alex raised an eyebrow, intrigued by their stance. Mia was the first to speak, her voice soft yet commanding. Now it's our turn. Let's show our purple glowing cosmic eyes power. The trio's eyes began to shine with an otherworldly light, trails of neon-lit energy swirling around them. With a collective effort, they focused their power on controlling the plants within the building, summoning vines and shrubs to their side. As the hadrosaurs showcased their abilities, Alex couldn't help but be impressed. They used their purple-eyed powers to summon a pack of herbs and shrubs, creating a feast for themselves. Iggy let out a satisfied sigh. Ah, this plant meal is so good. Alex watched as the trio munched on their leafy meals, holding them delicately in their uncrossed forelimbs. Once they had finished, Alex knew it was his turn to demonstrate his own abilities. With a swift motion, Alex unleashed his virus tendrils, lashing out at the surrounding infected mutants. The tendrils clashed with the sharp, toxic vines controlled by the hadrosaurs, creating a chaotic yet mesmerizing display of power. As the battle raged on, shockwaves reverberated through the building, causing the infected mutants to scatter in fear. The hadrosaurs and Alex fought with a ferocity that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Despite the constant clashes and destruction, both sides seemed to heal and regenerate from any damage they received. It was an endless cycle of battle, each side refusing to back down. As the chaos unfolded, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of respect for the hadrosaurs. Their power and determination were unmatched, and he found himself pushing his own limits to keep up with them. The battle continued to rage on, with the infected mutants caught in the crossfire. The hadrosaurs used their plant-based attacks to crush and squeeze the mutants, while Alex absorbed them with his biomass-absorbing tendrils. The sound of battle echoed through the building, a symphony of destruction and power. Despite the intense fighting, a strange sense of camaraderie formed between Alex and the hadrosaurs. As the battle reached its peak, Alex and the hadrosaurs found themselves standing side by side, their powers intertwined in a dance of light and energy. It was a sight to behold, a clash of titans that seemed to defy all logic. In the end, the battle raged on, the outcome uncertain. But one thing was clear, the power of the hadrosaurs and Alex Mercer was a force to be reckoned with, a force that could shake the very foundations of the prototype in-game world. Words. 511. Inside the red foggy infected building of the prototype in-game world, Alex Mercer stood ready to face off against the purple-eyed plant element hadrosaurs dinosaur trio from the Dinosaur King anime show. As the trio, consisting of Alex the male adult Alturinus, Mia the female adult Measaura, and Iggy the female adult Iguanodon, crossed their forelimbs and watched with interest, Alex began to demonstrate his powerful virus-based abilities. The hadrosaurs trio, with their glowing purple eyes, summoned a pack of shrubs and herbs to enjoy a leafy green meal. They munched contentedly on their food, praising its taste, while Alex showcased his abilities. The Alturinus, Measaura, and Iguanodon were impressed by his display, but now it was their turn to show off their own powers. Mia declared, now it's our turn. Let's show our purple glowing cosmic eyes power. The trio focused their purple glowing eyes, creating neon-lit trails on their bodies as they controlled the plants in the building, unleashing a series of plant-based attacks with various names and moves. The battle between Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio raged on, with shockwaves and light energy filling the infected building. Both sides used their healing and regeneration abilities to withstand the constant onslaught of infected mutants within the building. The hadrosaurs trio's sharp toxic spiky vines clashed with Alex Mercer's virus tendrils, creating a chaotic yet destructive scene. The hadrosaurs trio used their plant element powers to crush and squeeze the infected mutants, causing them to explode, while Alex Mercer absorbed them with his biomass-absorbing tendrils to refuel himself. The sound of their battle echoed throughout the building as they fought relentlessly, never backing down from the horde of infected mutants. As the clash continued, the infected mutants began to overwhelm the combatants, surrounding them on all sides. Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio fought back fiercely, their powers intertwining in a dance of destruction. The building shook with the force of their battle, threatening to collapse at any moment. But just as it seemed they would be overwhelmed, a surge of energy coursed through Alex Mercer, empowering him to unleash a devastating attack that wiped out the remaining infected mutants in one fell swoop. The hadrosaurs trio looked on in awe, impressed by his strength and determination. With the infected mutants defeated and the building in ruins, Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio stood panting, their bodies covered in bruises and scratches. But despite the chaos and destruction surrounding them, a sense of camaraderie had formed between the unlikely allies. As they took a moment to catch their breath, Alex Mercer extended a hand towards the hadrosaurs trio, a silent gesture of respect and gratitude for their help in the battle. The trio accepted his hand, forming a temporary truce in the face of a common enemy. And so, as the red fog began to dissipate and the infected building fell silent, Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio stood united, ready to face whatever challenges the prototype in-game world had in store for them next. Together, they would continue to fight, side by side, in an eternal struggle against the forces of darkness. Words. 526. In the red foggy infected building of the prototype in-game world, Alex Mercer stood ready to face off against the purple-eyed plant element hadrosaurs dinosaur trio from the Dinosaur King anime show. The trio consisted of Alex the goofy Alturinus, Mia the sassy Measaura, and Iggy the cheesy Iguanodon. The tension in the air was palpable as they prepared to showcase their powers. As the hadrosaur trio crossed their forelimbs and stood on their hind limbs, Alex Mercer began to demonstrate his black virus abilities. The hadrosaurs watched in fascination as he unleashed his powers, manipulating the infected mutants with ease. The trio then used their glowing purple eyes to summon a pack of shrubs and herbs for themselves to consume. Iggy, the Iguanodon, couldn't contain her delight as she munched on the leafy greens. "Ah, this plant meal is so good," she exclaimed, with Alex and Mia nodding in agreement. The hadrosaurs trio enjoyed their meal, holding the food with their single uncrossed forelimbs. Once the hadrosaurs had finished their meal, it was their turn to show off their powers. Mia declared, "Now it's our turn. Let's show our purple glowing cosmic eyes power." The trio concentrated their purple glowing eyes, controlling the plants from the rooftops and even the floor of the building. Using their purple glowing eyes, the hadrosaurs trio unleashed a series of plant-based attacks, showcasing their prowess in controlling nature. They demonstrated various moves and attacks, impressing both Alex Mercer and the infected mutants that surrounded them. As the battle ensued, the building was filled with the sound of clashing powers and exploding mutants. Alex Mercer's virus tendrils clashed with the sharp toxic spiky vines controlled by the hadrosaurs trio, creating shockwaves that reverberated throughout the building. Both sides fought endlessly, using their healing and regeneration abilities to withstand the damage inflicted upon them. The hadrosaurs trio crushed the infected mutants with their plant-based attacks, while Alex Mercer consumed them to refuel himself. The battle raged on, with neither side showing signs of slowing down. The clash between the black virus abilities of Alex Mercer and the purple-eyed plant element powers of the hadrosaurs trio created a spectacle unlike anything seen before. As the intensity of the battle escalated, the infected mutants within the building began to panic, their numbers dwindling as they were caught in the crossfire. The combination of powers clashed, creating a chaotic yet mesmerizing scene of destruction. In the end, the battle between Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio would go down in history as one of the most epic showdowns in the prototype in-game world. The thrill of the fight, the display of powers, and the sheer creativeness of the combat left all who witnessed it in awe. As the dust settled and the battle came to a close, both sides stood exhausted yet satisfied with their performance. The hadrosaurs trio nodded in respect to Alex Mercer, acknowledging his strength and abilities. And as they parted ways, a newfound respect was forged between them, knowing that they had pushed each other to their limits in the eternal struggle between virus and nature. The red foggy infected building of the prototype in-game world stood as a testament to the incredible powers that resided within, a reminder of the fierce battles that took place within its walls. And as the sun set on the horizon, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, the memory of the clash between Alex Mercer and the hadrosaurs trio would forever be etched into the annals of history. Words. 590. Inside the red foggy infected building of the prototype in-game world, Alex Mercer stood ready to face off against the purple-eyed plant element trio of hadrosaurs from the Dinosaur King anime show. The male adult Alturinus, Alex, the female adult Measaura, Mia, and the female adult Iguanodon, Iggy, all stood before him, their glowing purple eyes fixated on the virus-infected protagonist. Alex smirked, his black virus abilities pulsating through his veins. "Let's see what you've got, plant dinosaurs," he taunted, his tendrils writhing in anticipation. The hadrosaurs trio exchanged a glance before Mia spoke up. "Don't underestimate us, Mercer. We may be plant-based, but we pack a mean punch." With that, the trio crossed their forelimbs and stood on their hind limbs, ready to show off their powers. Alex chuckled, a dark glint in his eyes. "Show me what you've got." The hadrosaurs trio nodded in unison before Mia raised her single forelimb, summoning a pack of shrubs and herbs for them to consume. As they munched on their leafy meal, Iggy couldn't help but exclaim, "Ah, this plant meal is so good." After finishing their meal, the hadrosaurs trio turned to Alex, ready to showcase their abilities. With their purple glowing eyes, they concentrated their cosmic energy, controlling the plants from the rooftops and floor of the building. "Now it's our turn," Mia declared. "Behold the power of the purple-eyed plant element." The trio unleashed a barrage of plant-based attacks, each move named as they showcased their control over the greenery in the building. Alex watched in awe as the hadrosaurs trio displayed their impressive abilities, manipulating the vegetation with ease. But Alex wasn't one to back down. With a roar, he unleashed his virus tendrils, clashing with the sharp toxic spiky vines controlled by the plant dinosaurs. The building trembled with each clash, shockwaves rippling through the air. As they fought, infected mutants swarmed around them, but both sides were relentless in their attacks. The hadrosaurs trio crushed and squeezed the mutants with their plant powers, while Alex absorbed them with his biomass-consuming tendrils. The battle raged on, the sound of destruction echoing through the infected building. The clash of powers created a dazzling light show, illuminating the red fog that surrounded them. Each side refused to back down, their determination evident in every move they made. Despite the chaos, there was a strange sense of camaraderie between the adversaries. They respected each other's abilities, pushing themselves to their limits in the eternal battle. The fight seemed endless, but neither side showed any sign of fatigue. They were locked in a perpetual dance of destruction, their powers colliding in a symphony of chaos. And as the battle continued, the building shook with the intensity of their clash, the ground trembling beneath their feet. The red fog swirled around them, adding an eerie atmosphere to the already chaotic scene. In the end, it was impossible to determine a winner. The hadrosaurs trio and Alex Mercer were evenly matched, their powers canceling each other out in a never-ending cycle of destruction. As the dust settled and the red fog cleared, the trio and Alex stood facing each other, a mutual respect in their eyes. They may have been enemies in battle, but they had forged a connection through their shared love of combat. And with a nod of acknowledgement, they parted ways, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them in the infected world of the prototype game. The battle may have been over, but the thrill of the fight would forever linger in their memories. Words. 595.